And what is up, everyone? I am Joe DeHoyos. I'm host of Beyond the Woodline. Just real quick before we get our day started here. Um, for those of you guys who don't know, I'm part of the JRG, which is the Jeopardy Research Group. Um, we mainly deal with Bigfoot. We'll handle any other cryptids for the most part, but if you come to us, we'll see what we can do with that. But for the most part, we do stick with Bigfoot. And if you're a witness, an eyewitness, or if you have an encounter or an experience with one, man, hit us up. Let us know. Be happy to help you out or talk to you. If you guys want to be part of the team, uh, man, just hit me up too again, and we'll talk. We could always use team members. We've got people in Tennessee, New York State, Minnesota, Maryland, Oregon, Michigan, Washington, West Virginia, Oklahoma, and of course here in Texas. So you got you want to get out and you want to kind of experience some stuff with people who know what they're doing, let us know, and we'll try to take care of you. And even if we don't have specific teams in those states that you may be in, we definitely know people, and we, for the most part, we try to vet everyone as best we can. We're not going to send you out with someone who's going to jump every time they see a squirrel, or hear a branch break. Hey, that's a Bigfoot. We try to make sure that everyone is pretty even keeled. So if you guys have any questions about that, just hit me up at beyond.woodline@gmail.com. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. And with all that being said, tonight I have with me Haunted U.S. It's Brandon and Mitch. How you guys doing?
Doing
Good.
well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to talk to you guys finally. We've had a little rapport, chat going back and forth. So it's
Yeah.
good to always talk to my guest and see them face to face, I guess you could say. But yeah. So if you guys don't mind,
Virtually
man,
face to face.
yeah, if you guys don't mind, why don't you give us a little bit of background about yourselves and what got you in the paranormal? And Mitch, if you want to go first.
Yeah, so what got me into the paranormal? So when I started out in life, I was a skeptic. I never really considered the paranormal all that much in any way, shape, or form. Not ghosts, not aliens, not cryptids, not anything like that. It was just kind of stuff you read in fiction books and not much more than that. But when I was in high school, early in high school, I moved in down the road from a friend of mine whose family was all ghost hunters. Um, and a few months after that, they invited me out to investigate with them. And I thought, well, okay, an interesting thing to do on a Saturday night might make a good story someday. So let's just go. And we went to this little, well, not so little, this big mansion like house, or it used to be a house down in Beloit, Wisconsin. They had converted it into a restaurant for a long time, and then it shut down. So when we were there, it was just a big old empty restaurant. And I experienced some things in there that I very much didn't expect to experience. Hearing whole conversations of people talking when there was nobody there. Seeing meters go off without any provocation, hearing unexplained things like we heard a disembodied scream with our own ears that night.
Oh wow.
And I just left there with a permanent interest in the paranormal. And I joined up with their group of people for a very long time. I went off on my own for a long time. And then just a few years ago, I joined a group based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And that's where I met Brandon. And actually, during a trip to a location that we were investigating with that group, we were heading to Edinburgh Manor in Iowa. We carpooled together the few-hour drive it was there, and that's when Brandon brought up the idea that he had for Haunted U.S. and it all just went from there, and now here we are, a whole website, a whole thing.
That's actually really cool, man. I like that, and I like that you guys, what your guys' vision is. I really like that. Yeah. So,
Heck
what
yeah.
about you, Brandon? What got you started in this crazy, mixed up little world?
So it's funny. Mitch started as a skeptic and ended up a believer. I started a believer and ended up more of a skeptic. I grew up in a house that we genuinely believed to be haunted, and the experiences there really sparked the curiosity in me for the paranormal. And I found myself at a young age basically consuming every bit of information I could on it. Library books when I was young, and then moving into TV shows, unsolved mysteries, and ultimately ghost hunters in the early 2000s, and any other piece of paranormal information I could get my hands on. Specifically shadowlands.com. I think we all remember Shadowlands from the early 2000s. A great resource for haunted places with very dubious information on it. And as I got older, I started to find, small towns to visit that had supposed haunts. And whenever my family would travel, I'd be looking for, the walking ghost tour in the area and joining that and hearing those stories. And it's really, it's a very insular thing. You really grow into it as you learn more, and you hear the similar stories, the ladies in white, the ghost children, those sorts of things that keep coming back as recurring stories. And it's really interesting stuff. But then getting out of high school and into college, I sort of fell out of it. I started focusing on what I'd be doing as a career, and it wasn't until just after I graduated that I saw a public ghost hunt on Facebook. A friend sent it to me, and I thought, oh wow, I should go do this. This would be so fun. And I went with her and expected like a person in a sheet to jump out at some point or something. You always expect the worst. And I was so impressed with the group that I ended up signing up to join, because they had such a good scientific mentality behind it, and all of that information seeking was right on point for what I believed. And I stuck with them for 5 years. And as Mitch put it, we were carpooling to Edinburgh Manor one time, and I had pitched him on an idea that I had started to form, which ended up being Haunted U.S., focusing more on the preservation of the history and the stories of the places rather than necessarily investigating. Although we are investigators and do investigate when we can, we focus more on the folklore and the stories.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So like I've done a couple of the tours. Like when I went to New Orleans, they had some ghost tours, and I I liked it, but maybe it was the person, because she didn't really give us like a lot of information.
They
I mean,
are
she was like, "Yeah, this
always
place is haunted.
hokey.
Yeah, this place is haunted right here. They saw a ghost here once." It's like there wasn't like a lot of like. There was only like one place that she took us to that she really gave us a lot of
Mhm.
detail. Other than that,
Totally.
for the most part, yeah, I really didn't enjoy it. But I also there's a place here in Spring, just outside of Houston, called Spring, Old Town Spring actually, and
Oh,
they
nice.
have ghost tours, and I've heard a lot of good stuff about that. So I really want to go and do that one too.
Yeah, it can be tough to find a good one, but ultimately, that's one of the things that we're trying to remedy. When those stories are easy to access, a lot of people will have them and be able to share them in a better way. Not that we're necessarily trying to revolutionize the walking ghost tour, but giving that information out, I think, is a really important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, at least for me, I ran into somewhat similar frustrations that you just described when I wanted to learn about a haunted place. Is like the tour guide that you had mentioned. They touch on stuff, but they don't really go into the detail, or they leave you with just a little bit, and I guess that's kind of the point, wanting you to want more. But you want to be able to provide more sometimes. And
Mhm.
I think, at least as far as places that we had seen online before Haunted U.S., places like Shadowlands, you would get a lot of places, but they would be just that little touch on of, here's, what the place is. It's, a restaurant, it's a high school, it's a city hall, and there's this ghost that's supposed to be there. 2 sentences, that's it. And then,
Mhm.
we know that these places exist, but we always wanted there to be more there, more places like Shadowlands that could provide the fuller story on all of these places. And there didn't seem to be a perfect resource out there for that. So we decided we wanted to be that resource.
Well, cool. So how's that going for you guys? How much have you guys happened to branch out?
It's been pretty awesome. We've seen some pretty explosive growth since we started. We actually launched Halloween of last year. So we've really only been going for about 7-8 months now. But honestly, in that time, I think we've probably hit over 20 locations. We've also been in contact with a lot more. We have the opportunity coming up to go to Michigan. We just got back from Alton, Illinois. So we're definitely traveling all over and visiting these locations and getting high quality photo and video and gathering those stories firsthand from the people who run the place or the people who are having experiences there. And we're putting those stories out, and it's been super successful so far.
Yeah, just real quick, I don't want to forget when people ask questions, but Valerie asked, what was your biggest scare, all three of you? So have you guys ever been scared? That's actually going to be one of my questions, but since she asked it, have you guys ever been scared?
I mean, when you're on your first couple investigations, you definitely find yourself getting spooked. But after you've done it for a while, you get used to being in a dark space. You get used to being in a, the mentality doesn't affect you as much that you're in a haunted place. I've definitely had some moments that I thought something was happening. And some moments that I look back on and think, oh, wow, I think I saw something there that doesn't make sense. Specifically, the Brumder Mansion in Milwaukee. I don't know if you're familiar. It was after we had done a public event, and I was going up to the third floor. There's no access to the third floor except for one staircase. At the end of the third floor, there's a long hallway with 2 rooms that are 90-degree angle to one another. So their doorways kind of match up. And as I turned the corner, I saw someone walk between the 2 rooms. And I knew I was the only person going up there. So I thought, of course, this is someone from the tour. Somebody left a purse or something, and I'm going to go make sure that they don't hide in this place and stay overnight or something. Just, help them find what they need and help them get out. And got in the other rooms. No one was there. So that was a pretty spooky moment for me, especially being just like totally alone on the third floor there. But yeah.
What about you, Mitch? Have you ever been scared?
Yeah, it's been a long time, but I would be lying if I said never. And a lot of times, particularly the more modern instances, it's not the ghosts so much that are the scary part. It's aspects about the places. Is the floor gonna fall? Is there gonna be a snake that comes out of the ceiling? Stuff like that. But as far as being scared of the paranormal aspect, the first time I did it, the first time is always quite something. And whenever something happens, it's even better. In hindsight, it's better, but at the time it didn't feel better. And so yeah, the first time, the place we had gone, when they closed it down, they had put full sheets of wood on all the windows and everything. So when you went in there, it was dark. So that was quite an unsettling experience. As the things that I described before, the voices, the audible screaming, started to happen, you were doing it in absolute like underground levels of darkness. But probably the most scared I've ever been was, I don't know if scared is the right word, but definitely unsettled, was at that same place. It was the last time we were there. They actually tore it down the next day. And so we were there to try and describe to the spirits that, hey, this place is going away. If you have another place you can go, it would be beneficial to you to go there. And so when we went into the building, there had never been power run to it, but this time they literally had disconnected it. The proprietor showed us here's the power pole next to the building that used to have full power lines running on it, just bare and empty. There were no power lines running to the building anymore. And during the night, the lights on the kitchen started to flicker and come on as we started to coax these entities that were supposed to be there off to another realm. And that seemed quite physically impossible at that point. And shortly after that, while it was still happening, it went on and off for most of the night. The front door to the building, this heavy metal door, just crashed shut. Like one of the hardest slams I've ever heard a door slam was this mysterious door slamming at this haunted location. And that was a combination of a lot of interesting experiences that left me quite unsettled, I must say. Yeah.
Yeah, and since I said the three of you, I'll give you my scariest moment. It was in that house I was telling you guys about off the air. I was laying down, and I don't know, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I woke up, and right next to my bed there was a window, and I saw a figure there. Right, it was just like a dark black figure, but it moved towards me. When it moved towards me, I threw a freaking kick at it, and I said, "Get back!" I cussed and everything, but it wasn't trying to scare me. I got scared, and so like the whole time we were in that house, it was unsettling and it was unnerving, but there was nothing there that had ill intent. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It was just us. You're seeing the figures, you're getting touched, you're hearing stuff move around, you're hearing footsteps. Like I said, faucets were coming on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of like spooky in itself. But we were never like terrified. Like we got to get out the hell out of here, or come bless the house. We just said, you know what? We know who it is. It's their house.
Fair
they can
enough.
do whatever they want, and that's just the way it was. But so Beth asked, she said that she went to the website, and I guess you guys talked to the director of Octagon Hall. She was wondering what his name was.
I believe it's Ken Bird, Byrd.
Cool. And then Valerie says, "Thanks, guys. Those were all amazing stories." Well, you're welcome. Thank you for tuning in, Valerie. But yeah. So what's like some of the best evidence you guys have captured?
So I think, Mitch, why don't you take this? Your Edinburgh stuff is pretty awesome.
Yeah, sure. So as I'm sure Brandon will touch on, we like to embrace the uncertainty of things sometimes, and our skeptical nature makes it a hard hurdle to cross to achieve the word evidence for the things that we encounter. We definitely have our encounters, we have our experiences, but there's only a few good things we would call evidence. And even then, we're not 100% sure about it in any case. It's evidence of something odd, something out of the ordinary. Beyond that, we can't say much. And that's part of the interest. It's the paranormal, it's the unknown. We don't know. But one thing that has stood out amongst the things I've collected and recorded actually came over 10 years ago now. I think it was October of 2012, over at Edinburgh Manor down in Scotch Grove, Iowa. Anyone in the Midwest, I want to say it's right in the nose of the chef in the design on the United States. And it was up in the second floor of the structure. I was with a group based out of that area of Iowa. And so the whole structure of the building is the first and second floors are essentially covered by one long hallway and a couple little wings on the end. So we were all centered in the one long hallway on the second floor. And if you want to shoot video in a place like that, you have to put cameras in a special place. And the way they did it was they positioned the cameras right in the middle of the hallway, one shooting one way, one shooting the other. And I was up there with an infrared still camera. So I was taking photos, and as the photos came through, there was just a big gush of infrared light, and then it would go away as I was taking these photos. And as I was doing it, I did about 90 of them up there. And during one of them, we got a message from the folks watching all the camera monitors that, hey, you should come down here and see what we just saw on the video. And so we all went down there and looked at one of the video feeds down a hallway. And during one of the flashes from my still camera, when the whole hallway illuminated, there was a figure of a little girl standing in the middle of the hall. And then the light disappeared and everything got dark. And then it came back again and she was gone. And what makes it particularly interesting is prior to that, I said to the spirits of the hallway, if you want to get your photo taken, come out and stand under one of the exit lights. That's where we can see you best. And the figure was positioned right under one of the exit lights.
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you know anything about the little girl, who she was or what happened there?
They say that there's a woman and her daughter up there.
Mm-hmm.
There are some conflicting stories as to who they are or where they came from, but she's one of the established second floor entities up there.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I don't know what I would do if I saw a little girl in a picture. That's kind of creepy.
Definitely. And having seen the photo is genuinely very creepy.
Yeah. And what about you, Brandon? Have you ever got any good evidence for yourself?
So the torturous part of being a paranormal investigator sometimes is that the best things happen when you don't have a camera on you or you don't have audio running. But just to reiterate something that Mitch said earlier, we do have a hard time saying anything is evidence. We operate under the mindset of it has to not be 5,000 other things before it is paranormal, before it is something we cannot explain. So I think there's a strong lean toward we could probably debunk this before it's evidence, but there are some things that happen that are just beyond that point of explainable where you can't look at it and break it down in a way that really makes sense. And I would say not the best evidence, but the single best personal experience that I have had that has me leaning toward like, oh man, I think something was intelligently interacting with us was recently we had the absolute honor of investigating the Lincoln Tallman house in Janesville. And we were in the servants' quarters on the second floor, and we were fiddling with a meter because we were getting a really cold draft coming through the room. That draft turned out to just be an open door with some windows that had bad insulation, so totally normal. But while we're doing that, I had tried to click on my flashlight to see where the meter was. And my flashlight wouldn't come on. So I clicked it on and off a couple of times and finally was like, all right, well, everybody else in this room has a flashlight. I will be just fine. I clicked it off a last time and put it in my pocket. After 5 minutes, Mitch, we're talking and I asked a question. I wish I remember the question that I asked. I think it had something to do with the family there, but all of a sudden everybody gasps. And I'm like, what am I missing out on? What happened? And they're like, your butt's glowing. The flashlight in my back pocket had come on and was shining up at the ceiling behind me, so I couldn't see it. But I took it out and I said, oh man, that's really weird. And I clicked it again and it clicked off. So it had physically actuated. It had physically clicked on. And this is a flashlight that you actually have to have an inset button on. So you have to click into the thing. So I take it out of my pocket and I put it on the stairs, probably 6 feet from anybody in the room and said, all right, if you can do that again, if you can click it again, you can keep the flashlight. So we're talking and going about our business. Another 5 minutes later, and we hear the click and we see the light go on. And it was like, all right, yeah, no, this is weird, because something had to physically interact with that button. This wasn't a half unscrewed flashlight going on and off. This was a fully functional flashlight that would not turn on and then would. So we put it in a desk in the second floor of the Tallman house, and as far as we know, it's still there to this day.
Yeah, but that's pretty cool. I like I said, when I was living in a house, the faucets would come on. And it was like,
Yeah.
how the hell? Because like the shower faucet, you had to like pull it out. It was like one of those big knobs. You had to pull it out and then turn it for hot or cold or whatever.
Yeah.
But something was pulling that damn thing out, and the shower would just come on in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it's so much more convincing to me when it's something that is has to be physically interacted with for it to change, right? To change its state. And that's why I bring up the half unscrewed flashlight test, because
right, yeah,
it could be that the battery's swelling or something in there that causes that effect. But when it is a fully functional item that you need to pull out the faucet tap for the shower, or you need to click the button for the flashlight, and that happens, like that, those things just don't happen on their own. So it's much more unexplainable.
Flick the light switch off.
Exactly. Yeah, actually, Mitch, why don't you tell the Fairfield County story?
Yeah. So in that vein of ghosts physically interacting with things, we were at Fairfield County Infirmary, which is a large former poor farm almshouse in south central Ohio. Little place was Lancaster, I think was the town. We hit 3 or 4 locations in 3 days that weekend. So the town started to blend together. But Fairfield was a remarkable place in a lot of ways. But the operative point was down in the basement during our investigation, early within the first hour, I want to say, of our investigation. We were down in an area. It was called the morgue. There's an old morgue table in there. We weren't quite sure what the space was. There was some indication it could have been like a butcher shop or some area like that. But it's called the morgue. If you go there these days, they'll tell you that area is the morgue. And it's 2 rooms. One area is right off the main basement, and then there's a back room beyond that where the table is. And we were all spread out between these 2 rooms. I think there was 7 of us, roughly, half dozen.
Yeah,
give or take 1. And we were all spread out. We all had these little body cameras on. So we were all facing each other. So everybody had eyes and cameras on each other. And we got to asking questions. And during, once again, I'm blanking on what the question was, but we have recordings of it, which is the best part. So you can go back and check again. Someone asked a question, and then a few seconds later, boom, the whole room was full of light. And I was in the back room, and Brandon, you were there too. We were both in the back room, far away from the light switch. So I immediately said, like, what's going on? Which one of you guys turned on the lights? And from the front room, none of us did. And that kicked off an hours long review of footage of our body cameras, of our stationary cameras, of all of these perspectives that we had of how did this happen. And we still don't know. It did happen. It 100% happened. The lights were off, and then poof, they were on.
And for the record, these are like the sturdy industrial click lights, the ones you got to put a little muscle on to get them to yeah. So it was a wild experience, and in true seasoned ghost hunter fashion, we're all sitting down there. All the lights come on, and no one makes a sound for about 5 seconds, and then it's Mitch going, "So who turned the lights on?" That's my favorite sort of thing when you see ghost hunters do that. It's nobody's freaking out, nobody's running or screaming. It's just like, oh, well, this happened. This is interesting. Let's more of this, please. Yes.
Yes. What we're here for.
Indeed.
So do you guys have a favorite spot that you visited?
That's tough. That's tough. A favorite. I don't know that I could align a favorite. We have a long list of really, really awesome spots that we've been. I mean, Edinburgh Manor's on that list. Broadhead Manor, all the manors basically.
Every manor.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of good stuff up here in Wisconsin. Brumder Mansion and Broadhead and the Mabel Tainter Theater. We were able to get up there this past summer. It's absolutely gorgeous. Man, yeah, we've been all over, and frankly, I love every place we go to.
Yeah. I would echo that it's really hard to pick one, and it gets harder every place we go, because every place has its strong points. We just visited a whole fleet of places down in Alton, Illinois, and Missouri, and I could tell you great positive things about all of them. But if I had to pick one, I would have to pick the first place I ever went to. It was called the Manor in
the Manors.
Yes, the Manor in Beloit, Wisconsin, but it's gone now. It's demolished. It's I think it's like a bank or something now. So as far as places that still exist, I would say the Mabel Tainter Theater, or the Lincoln Tallman House, simply because for the Lincoln Tallman House, it's in Janesville, Wisconsin. I grew up in Janesville, Wisconsin, and it's the historical museum in town. It's the place that best preserves the whole history of the community. And I had been trying for about 11 years to schedule an investigation with them before it finally happened. So actually getting in there to work with them and to experience their paranormal encounters was really a long time coming, and a great experience all around. Anyone who happens to stumble upon Janesville, Wisconsin, recommend stopping by that museum. It's a pretty interesting place. And Mabel Tainter Theater, simply because I've been to a lot of places, but that place is, historically speaking, the best preserved place I think I've ever seen. And I'm a big historian. I'm the writer and researcher for the website, simply because I love delving into history. And walking into the Mabel Tainter Theater, which is up north in Menominee, Wisconsin, it's quite literally like walking back in time. The carpets are original. The seating is original. The decor is original. The organ is original. The pipes are original. The water fountain is original. I'm quite certain the water itself is original. And like one remarkable thing they have is original light bulbs. They have probably a dozen light bulbs from the original building that still work, even though they were put in 140 years ago at this point. And Edison bulbs run for a long time, and they were lucky enough to get them. But it's really on another level in terms of historical preservation, the ability to present it as part of an interactive experience, because it's not a place where everything is behind velvet rope. Like, you go there and you can see shows, sit in the original seats, use the original drinking fountain. They don't let anybody play the original organ, but you know how it is.
Well, and I think it's so important what you touched on there as a historian and writer from your side, as a photographer and videographer from my side. We are taking our passions and capturing these places with that. And I think one of the reasons it's so hard for us to pick a favorite place is, frankly, because when you are pouring your passion into a place and taking a piece of that place with you, you really fall in love with all of them. The unique story in each place is always so much more interesting than you expect it to be. Sometimes we roll up to our fifth place for the weekend and we're like, all right, man, we're just going to get through this one. And then we get there and we're talking to somebody and we're seeing the place and it's like, oh man, I forgot how much I loved this for a second. We have to hang out here all day.
That's pretty cool. And real quick, so Beth, I don't know if you guys know Beth Allen. She says, I guess a guy named Bear at Night Stalkers is actually the director for Octagon Hall.
Oh, okay.
And then she says, Bear would like to say hello. He would like to also know if you guys plan on visiting the hall again in the future.
Absolutely. If we're coming through Kentucky again, we'd love to.
Yeah, for sure. I think, we always love to stop at as many places as we can, whether we've been there before or whether it's a new place to us, because we're always traveling and we want to make the most out of our travels, so we can hit and touch on, as many as a half dozen places in a single trip if we really want to, which a lot of times we do and then regret that we did that. So yeah, definitely. If we're ever down in the Kentucky area, which I imagine we will be sooner rather than later, there are untouched places that on our list of places to feature in Kentucky and down in southern Indiana, Arkansas, all those places down south. Tennessee, we only have one place featured in Tennessee right now, so lots of places down south through Kentucky that we're looking forward to visiting very soon. So I would imagine we'll be through Kentucky, the bluegrass state, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to get down to the Willard Library and then head through Kentucky.
Yes, yeah.
As Mitch well knows, Willard Library has been on my list for a number of years.
Yeah, that's a little spot up in Evansville, Indiana. They have one defined ghost story, the lady in the gray lady, not the lady in gray, the gray lady. And they're interesting because they literally run a 24/7 live stream of their building. Like, look for the gray lady. Like, she's around here. Like, keep an eye on these cameras, and if you spot her, let us know. So if you're looking to do some online ghost searching, you can check out the Willard Library. Literally right now, their cameras should be running, watching for the gray lady.
That's really cool that they do that.
Yeah,
that's really cool. So what's next for you guys? Do you guys have a new location that you guys want to go check out soon?
Yeah, actually, in June. Hopefully, we get some other places before June, but we are currently booked in June to head over to Michigan. We're going to do the Old Stimson Hospital. Our hope is to hit the Old Kosciuszko Jail. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that.
Yeah, if anyone in the listening is from Indiana, happens to know Old Kosciuszko County Jail, you probably know by our butchered pronunciations which one it is. But help us out, because we've only ever read it, and we want to make sure we don't offend the spirits if we head there. But to our knowledge, it's Old Kosciuszko County Jail. And that's in Warsaw, Indiana, which is right on the route. So we would love to be able to hit it if we're able to, which is, we have to figure it out. We have to plan our itinerary, but like I said, we love to hit as many places as possible. And so we'll be planning for up until probably June 16th. We'll be planning.
Yep. Changing plans on the road.
Yeah. Adding places as we literally arrive at them.
Absolutely.
What does your friends and family think about all this?
Friends and family.
I said, what do your friends and family think about all this?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, my mom's really into the ghost hunting thing. My girlfriend, not so much. A lot of hours on the road, and she's always worried I'm going to bring something home with me. So.
Yeah.
My family and friends think it's weird, but in a fun way. I think everybody's perception of it could actually be best described by the way that my old college president put it when he heard about me. And he says, that sounds like you're quirky but capable. And yep, that's pretty much it. And that's pretty much the vibe I get from everybody's perceptions is he's quirky, but he's capable. And yeah, like we were on a podcast a week or so ago. A bunch of my friends and family tuned into the recording of it. So supportive and all of that. So yeah, they like to hear the stories and I like to tell them. So works out good for everybody.
Yeah. I always like it when they come to you like on the side or privately, hey, come here, I want to tell you this happened to me, or
yeah,
I always like that. That's that's always fun, especially when it comes to people who like like I said, people kind of pick on you a little bit, but it's all in good fun. Yeah, I've had people do that. Almost every single Monday morning, I'd walk into work. You find Bigfoot this weekend? You find Bigfoot this weekend?
One of these
And,
weekends. One of these weekends.
one of these weekends. But then the
Well,
main
and then
guy
they'll
that
just
would do
bring him
that,
in. It's a new intern.
oh, nobody ever wants to go. They never want to go. But but he came to me one day and he's like, "Hey, I got a friend of mine. I want you to talk to him because he had a dog that lived out near the San Luis Forest, which is where I go. His dog was found ripped in half. So he told me,
Wow,
"Hey man, yeah." He said, "Hey, will
that's
you go talk to
awful.
him?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go talk to him." Yeah. So it's pretty cool that he came to me and his friend wanted some answers.
Yeah,
It was a
imagine.
weird situation. He had three dogs that were all chained in the backyard,
Oh no.
and they lived next to this creek, which is right on the edge of the forest. And he came home one day and he found his dog, I mean, tore in half, right?
That's
Just the
awful.
one. And I was like, well, what was special about this dog? He said, man, that was my alarm dog. He would bark at anything that moved. If he saw something, he'd bark and he would let me know, and I'd come out and check everything out. I said, that's what got his ass killed. They were like, hey, we need to shut this dog up. He's giving us away. Yeah.
Man, that's terrible. You hate to hear it.
Yeah.
And the other dogs were just in their doghouse, just chilling and being quiet. They were
Yeah,
like,
I
hey,
imagine.
yeah. But that actually happens a lot. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bigfoot stuff, but that actually happens. If you got people that have a dog that's kind of yappity, giving them away, they'll take care of them.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why you got to bring your dogs inside.
Yeah,
The
no, please don't use your dogs as Bigfoot bait.
Yes.
Do you guys are you guys interested in Bigfoot at all? Do you guys pay attention to the subject?
I personally do not. I'm definitely not yucking anyone's yum with it, but it's not. I'm purely ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at this point I'm only ghosts, but when I first started being interested in the paranormal, I got into, pretty much everything. I started off opposed to pretty much everything, and then once I got the taste for one thing, I was like, what's the rest of this like? So Bigfoot, not as much, simply because down in southern Wisconsin, there's not very many Bigfoot legends. There are cryptid legends, which I did have the opportunity to explore. One big one is the Beast of Bray Road, which is a werewolf legend, right like 20 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. And people have come from as far as Germany. I've met some folks from Germany who came to Wisconsin just to look for the Beast of Bray Road. So I was able to go out there with a group of folks who were just, looking for signs of the beast, big dog prints, tufts of fur, things like that. We didn't encounter much in that particular moment, but it was my opportunity to see what the cryptid investigation side of things is. And later on in life, I actually worked with somebody who lives on Bray Road. And so I just had to ask them the question, like, in the years that you lived out there, did you ever see the beast? And they were like, I don't know what I saw, but as it always starts, I don't know what I saw, but something that a shadow that kind of resembled a bipedal dog of some kind, which is the Beast of Bray Road, which is, always love to hear about it. I'll take somebody's paranormal story no matter what it is. I just love love a good spooky story. And the only other encounter I had with cryptid hunting was accidental. There's a place around my area called Paradise Road, and it's known for being anything but. It's a really long stretch of road, and there's different wild paranormal claims at every stage of it. There's a blank area of farm field where your car will just shut off by itself. There's a bridge where a guy with a chainsaw will come out. And there's a patch of woods where witches live, and you'll see shadows and stuff. And if you go in the left side of the woods, you'll never come out again. So there's just all stuff all over this road. So we just went out one night to see what there was about it, and we got to the woodsy part, the place with the spooky witches, and we were asking questions out into the empty forest because we were all ghost hunters, so we don't know what to do with anything other than ghosts, really. And I imagine it was probably just a person, but what did happen was we heard this heaving shove, and branches started to break, and then something heavy just slammed on the ground and rolled, like something picked up a huge boulder and just tossed it our direction, and from deep inside these woods. So we were like, okay, goodbye, and we left it at that. But the stories in the woods, some people say it's shadow figures, other people saying it's a really dark animal. So not sure what it was. Probably, hopefully, just a guy throwing a large boulder. But it sounded like a very, very large boulder. So yeah, that's my cryptid hunting, cryptid investigating experience.
Yeah, well, see, that's interesting because Bigfoot definitely is known to throw stuff. I had a friend of mine. Him and his buddy went out, and he was like, "Hey, can you recommend a place?" I'm like, "Yeah, go here. It's pretty tame. You might get some vocals, but it's nothing gonna be too bad." Man, they got ran out, right? And he has video of them trying to get out of the forest, and you can hear them say, "Okay, all right, we're leaving," and then you hear this big old boom. So when I'm talking to him, like, dude, I said, did one of you guys fall down? He goes, no, they threw a log at us.
Wow.
I was like, holy cow. Yeah.
So, Joe,
I thought
do you hunt things other than Bigfoot, or is it just Bigfoot for you?
If someone comes to me with a dog man or a reptilian sighting, I'll go check it out. I'll go look for anything. I definitely have found some weird prints in the forest.
Sure.
I think there's a lot of things out there other than Bigfoot. I think there's actually a lot more paranormal stuff in the forest and in the woods than what people think that gets lumped in there with Bigfoot. Stuff getting thrown, hearing footsteps, even hearing the voices, because they call it like the samurai chatter that Bigfoot kind of mumbles. And I've certainly have heard, talking. Does that mean it was Bigfoot, or that it could have been paranormal for sure? Because a friend of mine he went out there. His name is Sean, and he was sitting next to like a tree structure, right? And he had his recorder out, and you could hear somebody go, psst. But he said it did it like in his ear, but he has it on recorder too, like, psst. It was pretty crazy. So I think a lot of stuff. There's a lot of paranormal stuff that people lump in there with Bigfoot.
Awesome. So my question to follow that up is, do you still like camping or no?
Oh, dude, I love so I've got like 10 really good stories of like Bigfoot related kind of scary stories, but that's over like the course of 12 years.
Oh,
right?
Sure.
And I go out camping, several times a year.
Oh, nice.
Or I go out Bigfooting several times a year, and all it just turns into a camping trip because nothing happens,
Oh man,
and which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
We
there's
know that
there's nothing
story.
wrong sitting around a campfire, That's what
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the best things about Bigfooting is just camping. And sometimes that's all you do is just quiet. And we've sat out there 2-3 days and nothing happened. And you know what? That's fine with us. We were out in the woods, sitting around a campfire, having a few beverages, and just enjoying the night.
Yeah, enjoying nature is the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No downside.
Yeah.
And that's from our side too. We have these awesome locations that we have an opportunity to visit, and if nothing happens, you're still experiencing this incredible, Mabel Tainter Theater. We clearly love this place. It's gorgeous, and you get to walk around it and really experience it. So, totally with you on that.
Yeah. I love going to a place where you can feel the history.
Absolutely.
That's a great feeling in and of itself, and if you can just experience that, I mean, that's great. That's worth the trip itself
for sure. Absolutely.
Like I would love to go to Gettysburg. Forget it's a lot of tragedy happened there, but I would just love just to go visit that place, just to visit it.
Absolutely.
Just to get that feeling for it.
Yeah, and kind of take it in. Yeah. So, do you guys do like any paracons, or you guys make appearances anywhere?
So we haven't yet. That's not to say we won't in the future, but as of right now, we're working more on boots on the ground work and working with different locations to get their stories and share them, processing them. We spent a long time before we launched putting together a database of as many haunted places as we could find, and trying to weed out the ones that were, destroyed already or had become another business or a private residence, where obviously we don't want to be bothering people or going to places that are unwilling to share their story. And we put together a list of it's hovering right around 1,600 places that we have planned to visit as of now. So we've been pretty busy trying to get to as many of those as possible.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's a healthy lifetime's worth of work.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
At some point, the two of us, old and gray, will be signing off on the last one. But a new generation of them will have come in the meantime, I'm sure.
Yes, we can only hope.
Indeed.
Yeah, you guys should come to Texas sometimes, man. I hope you got Texas on your list.
Oh, we definitely do. Absolutely.
Yes, we do. We like I said before, we have places on our list to get down south. We've featured a couple of places in Texas: Yorktown Hospital, Amarillo Natatorium, USS Lexington down in Corpus Christi. But Texas is a big state. There's lots of history there, lots of reported hauntings. So there's lots of uncovered ground down there that Haunted U.S. needs to cover.
Yeah, and Joe, we'll trade you when we come down. You can come with us to a haunted place if you take us Bigfoot hunting.
Hell yeah, for sure, man.
Sounds
for
awesome.
Sure. You guys, yeah. Hey, but I'm gonna tell you what, we're gonna go to a place, and I'm gonna be the only one with the car keys. So there you go.
Perfect.
We ain't going nowhere. Yeah. So what are you guys doing when you aren't doing your ghost stuff? What do you do to occupy your time? You guys have any hobbies?
Sure.
Like playing instruments, Brandon?
Yeah. As you need. I honestly I don't break them out nearly as often as I should. I've played since 8th grade, but yeah, the guitar only comes off the wall when I'm really, really bored. But ultimately, yeah, I run a web development team for an advertising agency, and that keeps me pretty busy. Other than that, just hanging out, going through our photo and video, and making sure the website is in tip-top shape.
What about you, Mitch? What are you doing when you're not doing your ghost stuff?
I spend a lot of time writing other things. I've written a lot of novels in my life, so I just write creatively when I'm not writing Haunted U.S. articles. And beyond that, I just kind of work and then think of new paranormal experiences I want to have, because it's like Brandon noted, we have 1,600 locations. And I'm a big consumer of research of all sorts. So if there's a place that I can look into, I'm just going to spend free time just kind of casually looking into it. Or concepts, historical things. I'll just research them end on end. Spent a long time researching presidents of the United States. So master at presidential trivia these days.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I'll just spend time writing or reading something new about history, or reading something new about a haunted place that I might be able to visit someday.
And that's one of those
Who's the most fascinating president?
Who's the most fascinating president? That's a good question. The easy answer is Teddy Roosevelt, because of that one story where some guys stole his canoe, and then he cut down a tree, carved a new canoe out of the tree, chased them, and got his canoe back, which is a real story. That's a thing that he did before he was president, obviously. But by far...
Wasn't Roosevelt also shot during a speech that he finished?
Yes. Some guy ran up to him with like a Derringer while he was on stage and pulled out his little gun and shot him square in the chest. But Roosevelt had, like he didn't usually do, he prepared a huge speech and he wrote all of it. And so he kept this giant thing in his front pocket. So when he got shot, it hit him right in the speech. And he broke a couple of ribs, but the bullet didn't actually go through. If it would have hit him right in the heart, which, I mean, he got the presidency because his predecessor, William McKinley, was assassinated. So that would not have been good, because I don't think he had a vice president at the time. Would have been what we call a constitutional crisis. Not good. But yes, he did survive simply because he wanted to be wordy with that one speech. So yeah, he's the classic fascinating president. But I am most interested, fascination-wise, in Herbert Hoover, the guy who is most known for just botching the Depression. Because if you read more about him, he did so much good stuff in the 1900s, 1910s. He ran a food administration after World War I that used international government money to essentially prevent mass starvation in Europe after World War I. And it worked insanely well. It worked so well that he was essentially set for the rest of his life if he wanted to be, but he didn't want to be. And then he got to being president, and it just fell apart. And that's what fascinates me. I love a good disaster, and that guy is resting his life.
And was it Roosevelt that has like a Bigfoot encounter also? What do the Roosevelts do?
Yeah, if I had to put a bet on anybody having a Bigfoot encounter, it's Teddy Roosevelt. He was the big outdoorsman, like bull moose. I'll hunt them. They're 7 feet taller than me. I'll shoot it. So if anyone out there, if any president ever had a Bigfoot experience, if any president took a shot at Bigfoot, it was Teddy Roosevelt.
It was Teddy Roosevelt. So where can people find you guys if they want to contact you, or if they want to find any of your what do you call it? Your
articles?
Your articles. There you go.
Yeah. The easiest place is obviously hauntedus.com. We are also on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest. We have a TikTok. We don't use it. We're sorry about that. But yeah, ultimately, if you're a paranormal investigator, or you're someone who just likes a good ghost story, we definitely have a mountain of those for you. If you own a haunted location, or you have access to a haunted location that you would like to see featured, please let us know. As well as we write articles, sometimes we're not able to get out to a place, and we absolutely love featuring images from other people who really love these places. We think that that's, one of the best things we can do is align somebody who loves a place with the place and put the story together and put it out into the world. So yeah, hauntedus.com.
Well, cool beans, guys. You guys have anything else you guys want to add? Any words of wisdom for the folk?
Don't use your dogs as Bigfoot bait. That's the big takeaway from this for me.
I used to use my kids, so there you go.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, just not the dogs. Yeah, that was cool. Well, cool, guys. I'm glad you guys did the show, man. It was a lot of fun having you on.
Thanks
if I can do anything for you,
awesome.
Yeah. If I can do anything for you, have anything you want me to share, tag me in it, man. I'll tag you. I'll post it for it. I'll share it for you. So don't worry about that. I'm on TikTok. I'll plug along for you guys.
Thank you.
And we appreciate it.
Yeah. I don't do a lot of dancing, but that's only like between 2 and 3 o'clock.
See, we did too much. They asked us to stop.
Well, cool. Well, you guys hold on real quick, and everybody else in the chat, man, I really appreciate you guys. You guys always do a good job of asking questions. I will see you guys Saturday. Yeah, I got 2 shows on Saturday, a double header. So, thank you guys again for joining the show, and you guys hold on real quick, please.
Absolutely.